Fading the Public has cashed each of the first 3 weeks this season. We're now 11-5 in this video, fading the most public sides each week. I'm going to give you the 4 most public plays and a bonus selection for this week 4, Sunday, September the 28th. Fade them or play them. We're going to talk about the most public sides. Deep dive and analysis coming up free right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. And as I mentioned, Fading the Public has cashed each of the first 3 weeks, now 11-5-1 overall. Fading the Public sides and additional leans. I've got 4 public plays for you this Sunday and Monday, and also an additional lean. Let's start with the daytime games and what is the most public play this week. You know, a lot of times I'll say they're all kind of equal. That's been the case the last couple of weeks, but one game jumped out more public than all the others this Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern. That's the LA Chargers traveling cross-country to take on the New York Giants. And not a surprise here, the Chargers are off to a nice 3-0 start. G-Men, the Giants, off to an 0-3 start. So two teams have been heading in exact opposite directions. Currently, this line's sitting around 6 in some spots, 6.5 in others as we head into the weekend. Don't think we're going to get to that key number of 7, but I would wait with the Giants. I think you'll get at least 6.5 if you can't already find it now by kickoff on Sunday, as the Chargers are the most public play this week in Week 4. Off to a perfect 3-0 straight up an ATS start, but all 3 have been divisional wins. Kansas City and Brazil, Monday night road game in Las Vegas, and then the true home opener last week against Denver, a narrow 23-20 win. And now they're traveling cross-country, early kickoff, which is a 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific start on their body clocks, and playing a non-conference road game. Hey, we saw this situation last week with the Green Bay Packers. I told you in this video, do not use the Packers in your survivor pools. Do not use them in teasers. We had a best bet on the Browns last week. It was a fade of the Packers. This looks like another sandwich spot. Don't know if we can trust the Giants, though, as a best bet, but we'll find out. And you always look for a catalyst with these ugly ducklings, and maybe we have it this week. Rookie Jackson Dart getting the start for the Giants. I like the fact they're at home and they're facing a team in somewhat of a flat sandwich spot. And I also like the fact that Dart looked good in the preseason. He actually played extremely well for the Giants this preseason. Hey, look, they can't go anywhere but up. They've had one good offensive game, and that was against the Cowboys. How bad is that Cowboy defense, giving up 37 points, over 400 passing yards to the Giants in Week 2? Because the Giants have scored only 6 and 9 points in their other 2 games against the Commanders and Chiefs. Looks like a bad spot here, though, for the Chargers. Once again, I'm not interested in backing the G-Men normally, but here again, the Chargers are a team that could be in a tremendous letdown spot. If you're looking to fade the most public play this week, then that is definitely the New York Giants here as a 6.5-point dog. And once again, maybe we'll get 7, probably not by Sunday, but I think those 6s will turn into 6.5s before it's all done. That game's at 1 o'clock Eastern. All right, another game at 1 o'clock Eastern, and ding, ding, red flag alert, we got a public underdog. But not my Washington Commanders are getting some love this week, and they do qualify as a public dog because currently that line is +2 to 2.5. Now, some of it's because of the injury situation. The Commanders might very well be favored in this game if Jaden Daniels is healthy, so I'm not going to call it a huge public dog. I'd like to see public dogs at more than a field goal, but they're still getting a lot of love here, and a lot of consensus data I look at have people picking them straight up. So the Washington Commanders are one of the more public plays this week, and definitely the most public dog on the board at +2. And as I mentioned, Jaden Daniels is out. Marcus Mariota listed as named as the starter Friday afternoon. Not a surprise. Daniels has the knee injury, and this is also a situation with Mariota is very capable of leading the team, as he has done so with numerous NFL teams in the past. And he's looked really good with his Commanders offense the last couple years. Last year he had limited action, but he threw for 364 yards and 4 touchdowns, 131 rating. This year he's had one game under his belt. 207 yards last week against the Raiders, a 119 rating. 5 touchdowns, no picks the last 2 years in limited action with the Commanders. And, of course, the last time he was a full-time starter was back in 2022 with the Falcons, over 2,200 passing yards and 88 QB rating. And for his career now, 98 touchdowns, 55 picks, a 90.4 QB rating. So he's been more than adequate. And he's also mobile, which is the key to Jaden Daniels' success and this Commander offense, because this year they're averaging almost 6 yards per carry rushing the ball, but just over 6 yards per pass. Falcons actually fit a pretty good spot here off the shutout loss. They were embarrassed last week, and something that always catches my eye, we don't talk about this a lot, but I always use filters, right? I'd love to fade public dogs. That's one of my favorite filters using the consensus data here, and that would obviously fit here, fading the Washington Commanders. But something else is when a team is public one week and then is a play against team the very next week, that usually seems like an extreme overreaction. And if you recall last week, Atlanta was one of the two additional public leans I gave you here in the video. And as I said, they got smacked outright by the Carolina Panthers, and not even close to it being in the game, 30-0. Lots of talks about benching Penix, bringing Kirk Cousins in. They're not doing it, which makes me think they still see something in the young quarterback. This looks like the spot maybe to play real contrarian and take Atlanta laying the points. Public is all over the dog here. Looks like a good bounce back spot for the Falcons, so I would fade the public here and fade not my Washington Commanders. And they're truly not my Washington Commanders this week because I like Atlanta minus the 2. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern. All right, 2 more public plays, and they just happen to be your Sunday and Monday night games, just the way it worked out. Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 8:20 Eastern to be exact, on NBC National TV. It is Sunday Night Football, and I referenced how the Packers last week were in a bad spot. They were one of the most public plays. Well, the public's jumping right back on them again this week, and it's hard to disagree. This does look like a bounce-back spot for Green Bay after the bad loss as a road touchdown favorite. And keep in mind, they were up 10-0, controlled the majority of that game against Cleveland last week, and I really do think it was just a true flat spot after scoring 54 points in high-profile wins against the Lions and Commanders with this look-ahead Sunday night game on deck. And it's hard to trust Dallas in this spot. This is a defense that's been horrendous all year. Now the offense has suffered a major blow with CeeDee Lamb out for the foreseeable future with the injury. So they're weaker on offense. Their defense has been terrible. In fact, they haven't stopped anybody all season. The only time they've stopped anybody is when the weather delay stopped the Philadelphia Eagles. Neither offense did anything after that 1-hour delay in the Thursday night opener. Cowboys were unable to stop Philly before that. Gave up 37 points to the Giants. As I just discussed, the Giants have scored 6 and 9 points total in their other 2 games. They scored 37 and threw for over 420 yards against this Cowboy defense. And then last week, they made the Chicago Bears look pretty good as well, giving up 31 points and just over 380 total yards. I don't trust this Dallas defense, so it would be the Packers or pass for me, even though Green Bay is one of the most public sides this week. I don't disagree. Something else I will point out, that the look-ahead line this summer was around 2, 2.5. Even a week ago, it was around 4, 4.5. Now it's 6.5 based on last week's results. And oh, by the way, Dallas was one of the most public sides last week. That is one of those games that made the video last week, and now the public is fading them. As I mentioned with the Falcons, that's always a red flag for me. So lots of things I don't like about backing Green Bay, but the situational setup screams Packers. So let's just look at the team total. Let's play the Packers over 27.5 team total. That way, if Dallas gets the cover, you don't have to worry. The game over, obviously, if Dallas covers, they're going to probably have to score some points because I don't think they can slow Green Bay down. So the over 46.5, over 47 makes some sense as well. And this look-ahead line, initial opener even was as high as 48.5 in some spots a week ago. Now it's 46.5, 47. So I like the game over, but I think the Packer team total over 27.5 makes a lot of sense if you want to avoid being on the side itself, as Green Bay is very public this week. All right, your final game is that Monday night game. There's actually 2 Monday night games. It's the later one at 8:15 Eastern. And by the way, I do have a deep dive 2-for-1 special video for both Monday night games with free plays in both of them. Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos. But I'm going to talk about the late game here as well because the Broncos are one of the more public sides this week, laying the 7.5. And this is another game in which the initial line this summer was around 2, 2.5. Now it's 7.5. And of course, Joe Burrow is out for the Bengals. That's why we've seen the big line adjustment. Jake Browning, the third-year quarterback from Washington University, is not the answer. He's been very mediocre. But even when Burrow was in the lineup for a game and a half this season, they were barely averaging over 5 yards per pass. So Cincinnati is struggling right now, and they're still 2-1 straight up against the spread. The Broncos are the 1-2 straight up team, and that does seem weird, but it also tells you they're not going to overlook this game. It's a Monday night game, thin air and altitude. Broncos are pass for me. I don't like giving up this much line value at 7.5, so I think the Broncos on a teaser down to -1.5 actually might be the best option. If you're watching this during the weekend here, as most of you are, you can tie that up with some of the Sunday games. Or if you're watching this later, you can tie it up with one of the games next week. But since this is the Fade the Public video for Sunday, I'm assuming most of you are still watching before the games have kicked off. I do like the Broncos -1.5 as a 6-point teaser this week. You could tie that up with some other games this Sunday. And another thing about the Bengals, they've got the young quarterback, hostile environment, thin air and altitude, road game Monday night. He's got no running game to rely on. Bengals have rushed for 53 yards or less in each of their 3 games so far this season. Broncos also, last year since Bo Nix joined the team, 8-0 straight up as a favorite last year, and they beat the Titans this year in week 1. So they were 9-0 straight up, 8-1 against the spread. Their only non-cover was by 0.5 point. They did lose as a 1-point favorite at Indianapolis by a point. So you could say technically they're 9-1 as a favorite, but before that game, 9-0, and their only non-cover is by half a point. Their other wins, every win was by 9 or more otherwise, including 7 of the 8 last year by double digits. So Denver is kind of a bully team, and they're good as favorites. They struggle against better teams, so I think they win this one. -1.5 teaser makes a lot of sense. But Broncos are pass for me. This is another situation I'm not looking to fade the public on Monday night. There you go. Those are the 4 most public sides here for Week 4. Once again, the most public play of the week, the LA Chargers minus the 6.5. Also, the public dog of the week, the Commanders +2. And then the public is also on both the Packers minus 6.5 Sunday night and the Broncos minus 7.5 Monday night. Hey, I agree with some. I disagree with others. What are your thoughts on these 4 public plays? Comment below and include some analysis if you have time. We read the comments. We reply back here on WagerTalk TV. I'm going to give you one additional public lean in just a moment, but I want to remind you my personal best bets are available on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and you can also get a daily free play. My last cut for my best bet card goes up free for everyone, so check out Sunday's free play right now, or if you're joining us earlier on Saturday, hey, check out Saturday's free play. Daily free play every day on my page. Right now, either baseball or football free play on a daily basis. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. You can get there quicker, by the way, with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. All right, on the way out here, let's give you one additional public lean. This one wasn't quite as strong as the 4 official public plays, but still getting some good public sentiment. The 5th most public play this week would be the Detroit Lions -10. That's an early game at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday afternoon. And this is a situation, a couple things. I think the public likes the Lions. After they beat the Ravens, blew out the Bears, people feel like the Packers are for real. So the Detroit Lions, best team in the NFC last year until they lost in the playoffs, is getting some public love. And also a little bit of a play against the Browns. Public faded the Browns last week. Come from behind win. Green Bay was in a bad spot. They're not a believer. Cleveland just 1-2, and their one road game this year was that blowout loss at Baltimore by 24 points. But the Browns have been a feisty dog so far this season. If you look at them overall, they only lost by a point to the Bengals. And I know the Bengals haven't been good, but still gave up only 17 points and 10 points in their other 2 games this year. And their run defense has actually been very strong. Overall this season, they've held 2 of their 3 opponents to 46 rushing yards or less. They've held all 3 of them to 80 yards or less rushing. And if you look at their statistical makeup this year, they're giving up just 2.3 yards per carry and just 5.7 yards per pass against teams that average 7.1. They will be tested for sure this week against the Detroit Lions, one of the best pass attacks, especially on that indoor fast track. But once again, Detroit's coming off 2 high-profile wins. They lost that divisional opener to Green Bay. Then they blew out the Bears. Big road dog win on Monday Night Football on top of that against the Ravens. Now they come home as a double-digit non-conference favorite. Could see a scenario here where Detroit wins the game but doesn't cover. I think it's probably safe still for your survivor pools. Buffalo -15 is pretty much an automatic survivor if you haven't used the Bills yet. But if you used them last Thursday night, as some of you might have, Detroit -10 or Texans -7 are probably the 2 other survivor picks that make sense. So I wanted to point out to you that the Lions, although not in the official public play, is an additional public lean, as the public is definitely lining up on the Detroit side here on Sunday afternoon. All right, there you go. The most public plays on the board. Play them or fade them. It's up to you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And once again, the public churning along. Fade them's been pretty good so far this year, 11-5 against the spread. We don't just automatically fade them. We pick our spots. We use this as a filter. But in general, fading the public does win more times than not, and usually get some additional line value as well by fading the most public sides. If you're finding this video useful, thumbs up, like. That's all I ask. Click that thumbs up, like. Takes 2 seconds, and I will keep doing this each and every week for you. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to WagerTalk TV, what are you waiting for? Over 220,000 subscribers. Can't be wrong. Click it for free, and click that bell for an instant alert so you never miss out when these free videos are posted. And I do this Fade the Public every week, but I also do standalone solo videos for the Sunday, Monday night games, Thursday night prime game, undefeated this season. We cashed again this week. We've won every Thursday free play, and last year we hit over 70% on those Thursday night prime video games. I usually get those up Monday or Tuesday early in the week for you. So when you subscribe, click the bell for an instant alert so you never miss free play videos. Tons in college football as well this week, and also baseball and basketball right around the corner. Baseball playoffs start this coming week on Tuesday. Never miss out here on WagerTalk TV when you subscribe and click the bell. And finally, if you want my official best bets for this Sunday pro football, check them out right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And as I mentioned earlier, get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. And also get a daily free play while you're there. The process is quite simple. If I'm using a game, if it's a personal best bet, I send it to all my clients. I've done it for over 29 years since I started back in August of 1996. This is my 30th football season as a full-time professional handicapper. If I'm using a personal best bet, all my subscribers get it. I send it to all of them instantly. That last cut from the best bet card is still a really strong opinion. I post it for free every day. So check out the daily free play. Check out the strong Sunday NFL best bets. And while you're there, check out a special promo code for this week, Access30. Gets you the next, any all-sport all-access pass. It can be a 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. And you get an instant 30% discount when you use Access30 at checkout. ACCESS30, Access30. Got the full details written up on my page right now, so you don't have to memorize it. But any all-sport all-access pass, which includes baseball, by the way, baseball, college football, pro football, basketball right around the corner. If you do a month or a 1 year, you're going to get basketball, which is about to start. If you want a 1 day package, it's $39 normally. 30% discount gets it down to $27. One NFL best bets for Sunday is $25. You get everything for $27 with that 30% discount. Or how about a 3 day package? Get it from $69 down to, I believe, what is it? 49 something, 37. I have to do the math. $99 1 week package down to $69. It's that simple. 1 month, 1 year, now you're saving hundreds of dollars and getting it down to just a couple dollars per day per play. Access30 gets it done. Whether it's a 1 day up to a 1 year, any all-sport all-access package this weekend that you purchase on my page gets an instant 30% discount when you use promo code Access30 at checkout. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and hey, get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, Merril, at Steve Merril on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to Wager Talk TV because you know there's more free play videos coming up next.